And we're back. We are back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our first segment for the morning. This segment is all about coding and Code Caribbean.
Yes.
And we've got some folks in to tell us all about it because I don't know how to code. I think
I
I see
am an arts
code
person.
on here. So I think I see some codes on here.
That's not the code that they're talking
so
about. But of course, it's all about the Belize Team Laboratory School. And we have the folks in from the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science, and Technology.
Indeed, we have Namrita Balani. She is actually the Science and Technology Director for the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology.
Yes, you got it. You got it.
I got it. And then we also have Pat Young Pradit, Chief Academic Officer, Code.org, and Rodrigo Irani, DIA Senior Program Manager, the Trust for the Americas.
Yes.
Guys, good morning and welcome.
We have a very diverse team this
Well-rounded
morning.
indeed.
Well-rounded in all things. Well, I know Namrita is the tech person at the Ministry of Education, but she has with us two lovely gentlemen that are all coming in to talk about, from Code.org and the Trust for the Americas.
So I'd like to start with you, Namrita. The importance of coding, especially in a developing country such as Belize. We're very young, going on 42 years of independence. But with the way the world is at this particular point, coding is actually where we need to go. Let's talk about the importance of coding and where the Ministry of Education is with that.
Well, morning. Thank you for having us today. So Code Caribbean is not a part, the Belize STEAM Lab School is different, and then Code Caribbean is a pilot project that we have. We started in August of 2022, and we have 22 pilot schools right now running the curriculum in Standards 5 and Standard 6. So for us, when we think about coding, people think, you're just behind the computer, just writing code,
That's
right?
what we think, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much more to it. Like coding, you need to think about logic. There's math behind it. So your, analytical skills that you're using. And maybe Pat can describe a little bit more as to what the Code.org program and curriculum entails.
Mm-hmm. Let's get to that, Pat. What is it?
Ultimately, it's about giving kids a superpower. So right now, the world is super digital, right? And imagine if you give kids the power to control this digital world and not just be a user of technology, but be a creator of technology. So that could be an app, it could be a game, it could be a simulation, it could be so many things. So when you give students these powers, they are able to innovate in a variety of fields and a variety of passions. It's not just about making kids coders and programmers and software engineers for like Google and Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's about much broader aims than that. It's about just revolutionizing whatever they get into.
Do you think that a country such as ours, are we ready for? Is something that we're ready for?
I think so. I think Belize has a vision around science and technology, and that coding is an engine that can really innovate any field within science and technology, obviously, but also arts, mathematics, etc.
What's the starting point of coding? Like, how do you actually get into it? We're hearing right now. We had the crew yesterday on from STEAM, and the thing about technology right now. Kids are saying, "I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a TikToker." I don't know if that has anything to do with coding, but how do you get started?
That does not have anything to do with coding, and that's actually the perfect example. Kids from a young age, they're given a tablet, and they learn how to use these things pretty well, right? Parents use these devices to babysit their kids sometimes, right? I don't blame them.
Keep them busy.
But what if you give kids these devices and teach them how to create using them, how to rather than to play a game, to create a game? So that really changes how they view technology as a whole, and puts them in the driver's seat rather than just a passive consumer.
But Pat, do you think it is as interesting as playing the game? Because you need to make sure that there is a equilibrium in terms of having fun, but at the same time creating.
That's exactly what the Code.org program is about. So I know some people are viewing this on TV and they're probably near a computer. Some are on a computer.
Yeah.
They can visit Code.org right now in a different window, right? Keep this on, right? And then and you'll see we use cartoon characters. It almost looks like a game, but you're learning coding at the same time. And so that's what we're doing here in Belize. We're working with Standards 5 and 6. young students before they decide what they really want to specialize in secondary, and getting them hooked into that and giving them the opportunity to broaden their experience.
Now, Namrita, you were talking about analytical and mathematical skills. So what, apart from being a Google, Microsoft tech person, how can I utilize coding in a business world, or in a marketing world, or in a cultural world? How do I use coding?
Well, we are moving towards like data analytics, right? You're trying to now make decisions based on data that you have. So again, like coding teaches you like fundamentals with logic and stuff, how you think, how you process things, you know, so it helps with that kind of thinking.
Interesting. Let's get to Rodrigo. You know, this guy. This guy. So it says DIA Senior Program Manager, the Trust for the Americas. How does that coincide with what's going on here?
Well, actually, the Trust has its own mission on promoting partnerships for social and economic inclusion, and I think this project is a great example about this. So we are partnering with the IDB. That's the donor with the Japan Fund and the Porticos Foundation, and of course coordinating and partnering with the Ministry of Education and Code.org to implement this coding or Code Caribbean pilot project here in Belize, but also in Barbados. And well, we have a long history of implementing projects in Latin America and the Caribbean related to digital skills, as Narita mentioned, not only coding, but trying to promote critical thinking, how young people can benefit of these tools to be included in today's economy. So that's basically our role. We try to foster these kind of partnerships and also our technical expertise to, well, basically foster these kind of digital skills in young people.
This is a pilot project right now. The Code.org is a pilot project right now for Centers 5 and 6 in different schools. Are there any conversations or plans to expand that throughout the rest of the country? And what is your target age group?
Well, I know when we started, it's a 2-year pilot project, and then they said we'll look at like a national rollout. What we're actually doing today is we're going to do some school visits that are implementing this. So we're doing a school in Belize City, and then we're headed to San Ignacio and Benque to visit and speak with teachers that are actually implementing it, and then talking to students about their experience.
Excellent. So Rodrigo, you are South American, and yes, but interesting. This guy is from Argentina.
Yeah,
the home of Lionel Messi. The good.
It's not the conversation.
But anyways, so you know, I was, you know, I'm thinking about the perspective of what it's like in your country with respect to coding, and how do you think that we will eventually be replicating such thing, because that's a big country. Tell us about coding from that perspective.
I think in Latin America and the Caribbean, we're all in the same situation, and the important thing is trying to include this agenda in since high school, since secondary school, so that young people can be trying to include this in their way to interact with their colleagues, with future employer, with other academic institutions. So I think it is important to start including the computer science agenda since early childhood. And we are all basically in the same situation. I cannot say that Argentina, because it is a great or a bigger country, is way more advanced than other Caribbean or smaller countries.
Indeed.
So I think the point here is that the importance is to include this kind of agenda since young people are starting to explore what they want to do in the future.
You can, go ahead.
Actually, in the U.S., you might think, oh, the U.S., we have computer science education solved. Everyone is learning coding. But actually, Code.org publishes a report every year, and the last report for 2022 showed that only 53% of U.S. public high schools teach computer science right now.
Oh, wow.
So just over half. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of kids who would love to learn coding, but can't.
They don't have it.
Yeah, because their teachers aren't teaching, the schools aren't offering.
You guys did mention that it's going to be what, standard 4, standard 5?
Standard 5 and 6.
So this is around 10, 11, that age range.
Yes.
Would you say that's the better age to get it at, or younger? Why around that age?
Well, I think I had this conversation yesterday too as to why we chose those specific
Yes.
levels. For right now, we were looking at, when you do a pilot project, you're just targeting a group. So we said standards 5 and standard 6 is like that age before you go into high school and decide what you're going to do. We want to start to explore of getting it into a younger age because code.org does have stuff for that. So they have modules for that. So we're trying to see, right now teachers can literally go on and it's open source curriculum, so they can do it on their own, but we want to see how we could get it in younger.
Yeah.
Are we technologically advanced to get to a place where we can teach coding throughout this country and in other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean?
Well, we're looking at different things, right? So I know one thing was internet access. So
Yes.
now we have Connect Ed, and we're almost at the 50% mark for the rollout for Connect Ed. So because these schools that are rolling out code.org, we did put them on the priority list. So these schools have internet access in every classroom. The next aspect to that is devices, right? So then that's what we're also working on simultaneously. But I think it's a mindset. We met with a teacher yesterday and she's super excited, and I'm a little biased because she's a female and I'm super excited to see a female involved too. And it's like, you don't need previous experience. It's just you want to learn, you want to, So they have great facilitators at code.org that's been working with teacher training. So
I can imagine also that it's not just getting on a tablet and figuring out certain trinkets and so forth.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's a lot more advanced than that.
Indeed, but as a parent myself, my daughter's 12 years old, but I'm sort of insecure of her dealing with the internet from the standpoint of security. Let's
What
talk
they have
about
access
security
to,
and
right?
coding. Yes, because there's so many things out there, especially on the internet. There are predators out there on the internet, but that's what you need to do some coding. So how do you? What's the fine line there?
I think it's about showing kids that computers, tablets aren't just entertainment devices.
Yes.
And so they're going to be on these devices no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether at school or personally or whatever. You might as well teach them how to do something productive on them rather than just, stare at a YouTube video or make a TikTok video or something like that. How about, again, create a game, create a simulation, create a story, etc. So that's how we deal with the idea of like safety, and in fact we teach cybersecurity, we teach safety on the internet as part of our code.org curriculum.
So now that you're in country, you're doing your canvassing and your survey and you're visiting schools, what do you hope for the outcome of this visit?
Outcome of
This
this
visit.
current visit right
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
Well, there are two main things that we hope for. So today we're doing school visits. So I really want to understand what's happening on the ground. What do teachers feel about? How do teachers feel about the curriculum and the program? How are students receiving it? And then tomorrow we're actually having a stakeholder meeting that combines civil society organizations, the government, industry, private sector, etc. So 40 to 50 people gathering around computer science education, all interested in promoting it in Belize. And so what I hope to get out of that is alignment around a vision for Belize, and even each individual understanding their role in the movement.
And yeah, go ahead.
Namrita, so I'm sure there are a few schools maybe you've visited already. What's the interest from the students so far?
Oh, they're super excited. Some of them you go and you'll see them, there's something with dance party and you'll see them, they'll talk about it. And these students are born with devices in their hands. So there are certain things that were super easy. We spoke to a teacher yesterday and she said, the teachers are actually learning some stuff from the students, like, Miss, this is how you do it. And so they're super excited.
I could also imagine.
Yeah.
That happens to me on a daily basis. Miss, you don't know how to work this device. I was not born with a tablet in my hand. But in terms of the trust for the Americas and so forth, after this rollout, after this pilot project, what are the next steps?
Well, this is a 2-year pilot project, and Belize and Barbados were selected from 7 Caribbean countries. So we are hoping that the IDB will expand the initiative based on the results of this first pilot project that, as Pat mentioned, and Namrita, will be of 2 years. We are also providing capacity building to teachers and coaching, and some of those teachers will be coaching and conducting these workshops as well. Hopefully we have great results, and as Namrita mentioned, young people, or the kids are really excited. We heard about, well, firsthand yesterday from the teachers how engaging the curriculum is. So yeah, we're hoping that this experience can be replicated in other Caribbean countries.
And actually, I want to highlight something.
Sure. Yeah.
This is the opportunity for Belize to lead in the Caribbean community around an education subject. Because, again, like Rodrigo said, even in Latin America, even in the US, I mean, there's so many countries who are just in the nascent stages of implementing computer science education for their students. For Belize, Belize can literally lead the Caribbean in terms of what computer science education looks like.
Wow.
It's very exciting.
You know, that's definitely
Yeah,
a plus to it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel so good. But now, so you guys are going to some schools today. Can you highlight those schools, and then we're after?
So we're going to All Saints Primary in Belize City, and then we're going to Santa Elena RC in, well, Santa Elena, and then Victoria's Nazarene, which I don't know where that is, but I think they said on the road to Benke. So I'm gonna learn where that one is today too. But we call the teachers and we told them we're coming, and they're super excited to welcome us. So I think when you're on the ground and actually talking, you get a whole different experience.
How do you select these pilot schools?
So these ones were selected based on their basic technology needs. They were supposed to express, there was an expression of interest that went in, and then they came down to these 22 schools that were a part of it.
All right, sounds good. Is there anything else you guys would like to share with us that maybe we've missed?
Maybe just to follow up on social media, Code.org, at the ministry website, at the Trust for the Americas, we're always posting progress of the initiative, success stories, so we'll be sharing with you guys stories from the kids and how they get into computer science.
Finally, how early can we start to see this being rolled out in schools?
So it started 2022, the pilot would finish in 2024. I think we want to start discussing already, maybe tomorrow at the meeting, how we can start, if we could start earlier to do the rollout. There are other initiatives that are coming on board, so we're trying to see how we can, expand it to cover, more schools. And then I know you mentioned with your daughter for security and stuff. So one thing about the Connect Ed is that there is security solutions. So when they're on the school compound, they cannot search certain websites because those will be blocked. So go home and tell your daughter to go to code.org and explore. Explore now.
So, and Pat, there are so many things that, like we mentioned, the kids, they live on the tablets, and they're basically the babysitters of these kids. But are there anything that you could actually pinpoint to these children that are watching at this particular point, for them to know, you see what you're doing there? That involves coding. What are some of the sites, or what are some of the things you could tell them to try and give them, that additional push to say, yeah, this is something that I really want to, because that is what I always watch.
Well, if a student is watching this,
they're watching.
If a kid is watching this, I would say, actually, a kid might already know about what we do. I would say visit the Hour of Code website. Just do an internet search for Hour of Code, and you'll find a variety of tutorials, not just from code.org, but lots of other organizations, Microsoft, Google, etc., who created wonderful activities, fun activities for kids.
Wow. I know we're talking about code.org in the school system and so forth, but is there any conversations about making that reach outside of the school? I know you're a Ministry of Education, so I know that's what you're highlighting, but do we use this outside of the education system? Can I use this in the business sector?
Wow. That's very interesting. For sure. I mean, computer science as a profession is in every field. It's not just, again, like the big tech companies.
Right.
Finance, healthcare, etc. And so there are people who need to learn how to code in all of those fields. So that's how it's useful. And even for people who aren't necessarily like in technical positions, having a coding education helps them understand how to think more logically, how to reflect on their thinking. It helps with their metacognitive skills, et cetera, et cetera.
One of the subjects that, like you guys mentioned, you know, it's very important to know your numbers because that's one of the biggest things.
Statistics.
It might not be the strongest subject for a lot of children, you know, especially, I'm a parent, I don't know.
Person.
You know, I really don't know how to code. I don't know these things on these devices. The importance of parents
Yes.
in being well-rounded when it comes to coding. How important is that?
Actually, the most important thing is just encouragement, and not just encouraging, you know, what you would think a coder would look like a boy, right? No, like encouraging everyone, young, old, girls, boys, etc. That's the most important role a parent can have. Just encouraging them, getting them on the computer, and then, you know, just exposing them.
I feel like children that do code, nah, need you, John. That's my logic behind it. I think about coding in the form of ones and zeros, and
Binary.
that's all I think about when it comes to it. Or I think about, like, you know, that black screen in the movies with the hacker that comes and you have all of those like green numbers
flying
and
around.
It's
signs.
about making art. It's about making games. It's about making stories. It's
Okay.
much more creative than numbers.
ones and zeros.
Yes.
But also from a parental standpoint, okay, good. So I get the buy-in. I'd like my child to do it. What subject areas should I start to push them in for them to be better rounded when it comes to eventually going into coding?
Actually, you'd be surprised. You would think that math and computer science are like math is required for computer science, but
Physics,
actually,
statistics.
research has shown that actually having language aptitude is a better predictor of computer science success.
Why?
Because computer science is often, I mean, it's a programming language. And so you have to separate and understand how these things work and how to put these pieces together. And that's much more of a language thing than just a math thing. I'm sure math helps.
I mean, I always know that the techie person doesn't have to be a boy in a hoodie because Nams is not a boy in a hoodie. But how do you encourage girls to get involved in
So
these
we were
things?
just talking about this yesterday. Girls in ICT is the fourth Thursday in April every year. So we're talking about starting a sort of like a campaign to go to schools, get females involved, spike their interest, and see if they could sign up. And we want to actually do an hour of code and have like females just sitting there and just going through some fun activities with them.
Interesting.
So-
Interesting.
No, because it's
We need
it's-
females. We
it's-
need
Yes, but you
but
know,
she
it's
is the
not
IT
limited
department.
to. It is not limited to only guys, and I
Yeah.
feel
You have to
that
break that stereotype.
Yes, with how things are revolving at this
Yeah.
particular point, you know, it's not work for men and work
Yeah,
for women. It's
no.
work for us.
Yeah.
So I feel that's one of the ways to push on. As a matter of fact, next Women's Month is fastly approaching.
Yeah, March.
And I feel a collaboration must
Yeah.
come to fruition.
Yeah.
Because it is important for folks to learn to code.
So guys, one more time before I forget. Where can these initiatives be found? Code.org. What are they?
Code.org.
What are your parents looking for? What are your teachers looking for? What are the children looking for? And what do we hope for in the future?
Well, you can find the entire curriculum. It's for free, not just the curriculum being implemented in Standards 5 and 6, but all throughout primary and secondary. It's all free at code.org. The Hour of Code is another website where you'll find fun tutorials like Dance Party, which Namrita talked about, where kids can actually code a dance to popular music. And so they use code to make a character dance, and it's like it's super awesome. It's so fun. And then kids dance in real life to the thing that they created with code. Super fun. And so that's called Hour of Code. So code.org.
I'm doing
Hour
that
of
right
Code.
now. Just
Yeah. So and parents can examine the whole curriculum themselves. It's all open and free.
And Rodrigo, from the IDB standpoint, final words from you.
Well, first, we would like to thank the IDB for supporting the initiative, and I would like to acknowledge and encourage the role of the teachers. I know this is something new, but we believe that Belize can be benefit a lot from this experience as one of the 2 Caribbean countries that will implement this Code Caribbean project.
Wonderful.
Wow. And Namrita, from the ministries.
We're looking forward to the visits today and to see what comes out of the stakeholder meeting tomorrow. Working with the National Curriculum Framework to see how we could incorporate it to roll it out to other levels as well. So we're super excited.
I'm excited for you guys. No, I'm not a techie person. So I never, when she talks, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I ignores me. But the initiative shows us that we're moving to a different era. You know, pen and paper is slowly starting to diminish. We have to get with the times. So congratulations and good luck to all of you. Good luck at your beach. Good luck at Benke. Good luck in Latin America. Thank you all so much for being here this morning.
Thank you, John.
All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's highlighting the onset of Women Month, of course, and the Festival of the Arts. What did you do with Festival of Arts?
I cannot tell you right now.
Oh my goodness. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got much more. This is Open Your Eyes. Stay with us.